So, Kim Gong-ju, can you explain to us about the crisis in the UK? Do you want to come up here and use the pen? Easier? Yes. So what's that? So they fixed their exchange rate to the mark, right? Fixed exchange rate to Germany. Okay? So they had a fixed exchange rate with Germany. Okay? The German economy went bad?
Surged.
What does surged mean?
Increased.
Yeah, so the German economy improved a lot, right? What about the UK economy?
So,
Yes? What about the UK economy?
the UK economy went bad
Yes?
because
Doesn't matter why, just the UK economy was bad, right? German economy was very good. So what happened next?
so Germany let their interest rate raise.
They raised the interest rate. Why? Why would they raise the interest rate?
Unification.
Hmm?
Unification.
No. Why would we raise the interest rate? That's going to make people take less loans. People will have less money at the end of the month. What's the reason for raising the interest rate? Can anybody tell me why does the central bank increase the interest rate? Because of?
Inflation.
Inflation worries, okay? The economy is growing quickly, they don't want too much inflation. Okay, so Germany increased the interest rate. What about the UK?
Follow the interest rate.
So we're asking Kim Gong-ju, right? You're correct, but let's give her the chance to answer the question, right?
The UK was first to follow it.
So the UK has to follow. If we're in a fixed exchange rate, if Germany raised the interest rate, we have to raise the interest rate. Okay, why? We have a fixed exchange rate. What would happen? It's always the same. £1 is 3 marks. Britain has 1% interest rate. Germany has 5% interest rate. This is always the same. What's going to happen? People will? What? Get a loan in pounds and buy marks. Okay, so Britain has to follow. If you're in the fixed exchange rate, you have to have the same interest rate. We talked about in the example with Aruba. Okay, you have to follow. So Britain followed with the high interest rate. So what happened next? Britain has a bad economy. Now it has a high interest rate. What's going to happen? Britain's economy is going to improve or get worse with the high interest rate. Kim Gong-ju. Britain's economy is already bad. Now we increase the interest rate. Is the economy going to get better or worse?
Worse.
Worse. Okay. So is Britain going to stay in the fixed exchange rate system or leave the fixed exchange rate system? They have a choice to make, right? They have to look. We talked about the advantages and disadvantages last time, okay? Advantages, they get the credibility. It's more stable for trade with Europe. Okay? Disadvantages, they don't have their own monetary policy in a recession. Biggest disadvantage, okay? So the people in Britain came out on the street and they made a demonstration. Do you understand demonstration?
Yes.
Britain had a very high unemployment. So the people made a big demonstration, but also Speculators decided to attack, right? So what did the speculators do? They bought pounds? They want to buy pounds or they want to sell pounds?
They wanted to sell pounds.
Yes, so they get a loan of pounds and sell the pounds, okay? Then later, when the pound leaves the fixed exchange rate, buy back the pounds and pay back the loan. We explained about that before, okay? So the speculators attacked, and what happened in the end? So what happened in the end? Did the speculators win, or did the UK Central Bank win? The UK Central Bank won and they stayed in the fixed exchange rate system. UK is now in the euro. They use the euro currency.
No.
No? What then?
Speculators.
Speculators won, right? They forced the UK out of the exchange rate mechanism. So guess when the agreement for the euro was made? 1992. Why? Because of this situation. Because if you use the same paper money, the speculators can't attack. So Britain was using the pound, Germany was using the Deutschmark. They were fixed, right? It was easy for Britain to leave the fixed exchange rate system. But now using the same currency, the euro, it's not easy for Greece to leave the system because they have to print all their money. They don't have any drachma. They have to print that. It takes a long time to get the paper and print. They have to change all their ATMs. They have to change all their banking system. Okay? So that's why they made the euro, to make sure that the speculators couldn't attack again like that. Okay? So do you have any question about this crisis in the UK? No? So this will help us to understand a little bit about the euro currency. We will discuss whether the euro currency is a optimal currency area or not. Okay. But before we do that, we're going to look at a couple of things. We're going to look at the factors which influence the exchange rate. Okay, and we're going to look at the interest rate parity theory. So we studied about this in the International Financial Management. So I will ask the students who studied the International Financial Management to help me to explain these things to the class. Okay. So let's start with interest rate parity. Okay. So we have arbitrage. This is when you make unlimited amounts of money because of a basic inequality. Is this situation common in financial markets? No. Right? People buy and sell and this inequality goes down to zero. Right? So for example, you can get a loan from one bank at 1% and deposit in another bank for 10%. That's not going to happen. It's not going to exist. It shouldn't exist. Okay? So we don't usually have this kind of condition. So this is the key to the IRP. We shouldn't have an arbitrage situation. So consider these investments. We have $100,000. We live in the US. We have a choice. Invest the money in the US. We'll get the interest rate in the US. Our future value will be 100,000 multiplied by 1 plus the interest rate. Okay? The other option we have, let's say we can send it to the UK. So trade our dollars for pounds, invest our money in Britain at the British interest rate, okay? And we can eliminate the exchange rate risk by making a forward contract in the future. So students in International Financial Management course, what is a forward contract? Fixes the exchange rate in the future. Okay, I make a contract. Let's say the exchange rate is today is $1 is 1,101. Okay, so the forward contract means next year. Okay, we're going to have a forward contract. $1 is going to be fixed, close to this. Okay? But what will be the difference? Why will it be slightly different next year? What's that based on? Inflation and interest rates. Okay? So interest rate follows inflation. So let's say that Korea has high inflation. Usually, Korea has higher inflation than the US has low inflation. Okay? Then, which currency will be stronger and which currency will be weaker? So dollar is stronger. So let's say inflation in Korea is 10% and inflation in the US is 0%. Okay, just for example. Then next year the exchange rate will be 10%, right? So 1, 2, 1, 0, 1. Okay? 10% difference. The reason for this is that you shouldn't be able to make a profit. Okay? If the exchange rate was exactly the same here, then I could make profit. Okay? If the inflation is 10% in Korea, the interest rate will also be 10% in Korea. Okay? The interest rate will be 0 in the US. Interest rate follows inflation, right? So I could deposit my money in Korean won, take a loan of money in the US and deposit my money in Korean won. And then if the exchange rate was fixed, if it was the same, in this case, right? If I made a forward contract and the exchange rate was the same, it's just like the fixed exchange rate example, right? People are going to all take a loan in US dollars and deposit in Korean won. Okay, the exchange rate is the same at the end of the year. Okay, they're going to get a profit. 10% interest in Korea, 0% interest in the US. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to make a forward contract like this. The bank is going to make the forward contract based on the difference in the interest rate. Okay, so here I get 10% more money in the Korean won, but the Korean won got 10% weaker. So in the end it's the same. Okay? It doesn't matter whether I deposit in the US or in Korea. I get 10% more interest in Korea, but if I make a forward contract, the currency is 10% weaker. So it balances out. Okay? So this is the idea of IRP. So we're going to look at a couple of examples to just illustrate. So just before the next class, you can look forward at this example. Okay? So this example shows what happens if we send our money around the world to Britain. Right? Change our money to British pounds. So just have a look at this slide. Try to understand this slide before the next class. Okay? It will help us in the next class. Okay?
상호야, 할 거야.